Hello, everybody. It's Friday, and as usual lately, I am running late. But it's still Friday, which means it's Clumsy Hippo's morning cereal in the evening, which we do quite often, actually. Night cereal, anytime. Cereal's for anytime. You can have it whenever you want. There's no rules on cereal. What I got for you today is the much asked for, well, at least by two people, second story in the four-story series Slumberguard. It will be a two-part story this time. It might have been a three-part, but it kind of would have been short, and I found a way to split it up much better. So this will be part one. It's Slumberguard 2, Gift Shop by Sheridan D. Lowe. Opening my eyes, I also lifted my head off the desk, drawing a line of saliva from the pool on the blotter. Having fallen asleep at a desk is hardly a novel way to wake, except when it wasn't your desk. The sheer volume of books around me drew out memories of the dream school. On the desk was a black and white photograph of a bride and groom. Next to it, the same couple in color, much older, in Hawaii. Replacing the images, I looked at the nameplate on the desk and found it belonged to Dr. Jocelyn Holloway. "Well, Dr. Holloway," I told her name, "I don't know who you are or why I'm in your office, but I'm not waiting." Stopping abruptly, I put her name down and said, "Talking to a nameplate. What have I become?" In that moment, another dream memory revealed itself, and it had not ended upon waking. Who the hell am I? A knock at the door caused me to jump. It seemed logical that if they knocked, they might not just walk right in, so I froze in place, even trying to limit my rapid breathing, which had just come from the fright of the knock. What I had assumed was some kind of paperweight floated upwards, losing its clear, potato-like semblance as its surface wobbled and became milkier. It broke apart a couple of times on the way up, but by the time it reached my shoulder, it was whole again. I screamed. Barely hearing the more insistent knocking, the bubble kept breaking apart as I threw books at it. But by the time I could arm myself, it was whole again, and following me. Finding a tennis racket by a small seating area, I swung with all my might, creating a stationary explosion. Running to the door and unlocking it, I barely took note of the man who had been knocking, but he was able to grab my arm as I tried to run past, stopping me. "Please, Jocelyn, everything is going to be okay. Just come back inside with me." His accent was Swedish, as was the blondness of his hair. Tall, he wore white scrubs. "Jocelyn?" I asked, but then it gained meaning. Is that my name? Asking myself more than him, but I was sure now. Yes, I'm Jocelyn. Good. It will take some time. You have much from which you are recovering. The man had succeeded in guiding me back into the office, where I stiffened at the sight of the floating potato, which seemed prettier after panic had subsided. "It's okay. I'll explain everything." Getting a good look at the potato bubble, the man released me and went to it. "Well, I never imagined I would see you." "Excuse me," I tried to get his attention. Without moving, the man eventually said to the bubble, "Ah, I see. That explains a lot." After a brief pause, he added, sounding worried, "I agree. There is a danger of running out of time." Turning towards me, he said, "Hello. I apologize for being so rude. I am Dr. Lindbergh. You've undergone a procedure to repair, well, you." Blankly, I stared at him, trying hard to ignore the milky, glittering blob floating nearer to him than me now. "Repair me?" I asked the both of us. Was I in an accident? The doctor turned his ear to the potato, then told me, there was a collision, yes, but 15 years before you came to us. It changed you fundamentally, so they were not the best of years. Listening first, he added, true, you are fixed now. Stepping back, I sat without looking in a chair I somehow knew was there. Why can't I remember anything then? Dr. Lindbergh sat in the other chair. It's going to take some time, but your memories of everything up to the accident will return. And the past 15 years, will they return? I asked him. Sitting back in his chair, he had to think before answering. Your case was unique. For years, you suffered, as your family was repeatedly told there was nothing to be done. So we ran our own fresh tests and compared them to the others, all the way back to the first ones from the hospital. Sitting forward, he confided in me. We found something they missed. Incremental changes, and for the better. The efforts of the damage was being repaired, just very slowly. Okay, I told him, I think. Standing, he went to the desk and opened the bottom drawer, taking out a banana. You were placed in stasis, where the disease did indeed run its course. Unfortunately, as happens from time to time, it left you a carrier. Finishing the banana, he tossed his peel into the wastebasket. So we shielded everything to do with the disease in your brain to prevent it returning. I glared at him, slack-jawed. You can do that? I asked. Coming closer, he boasted. I can. The potato caught his attention and he began to sit. Yes, okay. 2 things. There is a possibility of regaining the memories between your accident and now, but there is also the possibility it will activate the disease itself. Looking up at the quiet potato and back, he went on. The other thing is that it has been longer than 15 years since your accident. That was when we placed you in stasis. Glancing towards the window, the sight of blue sky was kind of reassuring. To the doctor, I asked evenly, how long was I in stasis? His head turned sharply towards the bubble, to which he answered, I know, I'm trying. Clearing his throat, he bit the bullet and uttered the amount of time. 1 million years. Nodding, I kept eye contact with the doctor. 1 million years. Unsure of what I was doing, he replied, yeah, 1 million of them. You're probably going to tell me I'm still in stasis. This caught him off guard. Oh, why, yes, he said happily. Oh, phew. I was regretting telling you that one. Thank you. Closing my eyes, I nodded at him. Flashes of my life came to mind. Opening my eyes, I said, I'm a psychiatrist. The doctor was pleased. Very good. Glancing at the desk, I told him, I'm a professor. He was quickly clapping his hands. And I'm in the most vivid, lucid dream I've ever had. The doctor was crestfallen. I'm sorry, Jocelyn, he said quietly. I didn't want it to come to this, but there's no more time to convince you. Holding my hands up, I said sarcastically, oh, wait. Am I being attacked by my dream? Without having moved, the man went on. In stasis, your memory is suppressed because your subconscious is still recording the time. Having recorded this, I will now transfer the compressed time into your memory, and you will know the experience of the entire number of years. Why would you even... I was cut off by an avalanche of days, a veritable beach full of sand grains representing minutes, suddenly all in the forefront. Feeling the plush interior of the crib, the hours turned into days, and this one part of my subconscious dedicated to remembering this would go mad, then regain sanity, repeating ad nauseum. I prayed to deities as I passed them by to please end this endless journey. When it did, I finally found myself covering the banana peel in vomit. It pissed me off that I was really awake. Except I wasn't quite yet, was I? Tell me, was all I needed to say. Concisely, the doctor told me about the Slumberguard company and how they were using stolen technology to run a huge scam. Unfortunately, their technology worked, and they lost their prototype. Dr. Lindbergh received a call from a friend in Washington that the entire group was about to be taken into custody, along with any files or devices they could find. He had to take his files and go, but apparently they were unaware of his work on Slumberguard too. With the others unaware of what was coming, it only took a small amount of work to move the crib to a safe location, never to return to his lab, or to be more precise, his work lab. Only when he had everything for the crib ready did he venture out to find me. "Wait, did we know each other?" I asked, as I tried to sift through very few grains of recovered memories, waving away the grapes he had found somewhere in my head. "No," he told me, eating grapes so quickly. "You were placed in the crib to fix you, true enough, but the length of time you were let to slumber was," looking up at the bubble, "is for more than reasons of time. Something I cannot tell you." Looking in my eyes again, I saw such kindness in his for something so unreal. In the beginning, it wasn't clear that a choice would have to be made. The broken you or the you who can't remember the other you. Who said this was the best choice? My voice was cool. Damage was a hell for you and those around you. He spoke in a genuinely kind tone. You need to be patient. The memories will return, and you shouldn't lose hope concerning the rest. There could be people here. Looking at the potato, he insisted, "Will you be quiet? I know what I'm doing." Then, to me, he went on, "You were fixed in the best of the doctor's ability. No better technology was around. 1,000,000 years, though, might have technology which can fix you completely." He sat upright and scowled. "The crib is moving. I mean, moving more. It has been slowly moving this entire time." Standing, my hand went to my forehead. It hadn't occurred to me yet to imagine beyond the journey. Feeling nauseous, I weakly asked, "Is it safe? What about the Earth?" The doctor reported, "The crib is inside the halls of a large complex carved within a gigantic stone. The stone is also moving. My scanning is limited, but I cannot find the Earth, although it could be the stone we are inside interfering, because by the positions of what I'm finding in equipment nearby, the sun and the supernova where Betelgeuse once was are where they should be if we were on Earth." Almost pushing me into a chair, he stood and, with my attention, explained, "There's been a lot to take in, but there are things you must know while there's still time, before they open the crib." He added at my questioning expression, "Just accept what I say, and this will be so much easier. The potato bubble thing, it isn't either a potato or a bubble. It's an avatar." It had inched a little closer to me, and I noticed the pretty glitter in the glowing milk. "Like the movie?" I asked the bubble. Snapping his fingers to regain my attention, Lindbergh answered, "Avatar with an E. It was a permanent move to provide you with emotional and physical protection through the slumber and after." Feeling my face relax, and "aw" came out, and then with a little frown I added, "I think." "You'll not lose the avatar's protection. You're sleeping still, so it is obviously already a part of you. When the slumber ends, he will integrate fully, and believe me, things will be much safer for you than if on your own." Raising an eyebrow, I looked at the avatar floating nearer her still. "He, is it?" "Dr. Holloway, he is the reason you are repaired. He is the reason you are here, and he's your best chance of staying alive out there." "Who in the world is he?" I almost demanded. "The cabinet controls are being used." Looking at him, there was a far-off look in the doctor's eyes before turning to me. "Trust the foreign instinct you will feel. Being scared will only slow you down. Trust in your guardian. As your memories return, you may find that you're not as alone as you feel." To the avatar, he barked, "All right, no more. I was done anyway." Looking at the doctor, looking at the potato, until he looked at me, surprised I was looking at him, there was an overwhelming feeling of having had a family. Supposing they would return to my mind at some point, they had been lost in a previous age, so at this moment in time my family was here. Well, thank you, Dr. Limber, I said, smiling through a bit of a cry. He stepped closer and took my hand in both of his, which I had to verify by sight since I felt nothing. Lindbergh, he told me. Dr. Charlene Lindbergh. Good luck. Not because I think you need it. I'm forced by my programming to tell you. But your life awaits. And nobody made me say that. The room went black, except I could see myself and the avatar, who found the courage to twinkle. The darkness felt constricting in a most comfortable way, as I understand that I was finally waking and lying in the Slumberguard crib. The darkness brightened until even the potato faded. My eyes opened to the pale gray glow of an LED screen. After blinking, then twisting my arm to rub my eyes with my fingers, the words started to come into focus. Slumberguard experience completed successfully. Environmental conditions safe. Crib has not been opened. Press here to open. Marveling at how well the crib had kept my muscles from weakening, it was made easier still to step out of the crib because it was resting on a stone floor. The first thing that came to my mind was my students, of all things, bringing a smile to my lips, both for the memory and its return. All too quickly, it wasn't quite as pleasant anymore when I remembered where they were now. The curse of memory loss turned to the blessing in their slow return. There was a theatrical feel to the room. I stood on a carved but rough circular stone floor, red floor-to-ceiling curtains all around me, possibly velvet, except I was sure I could see them slightly breathing. Also stone, the ceiling was an even rougher texture, its phosphorescent glow the only source of light. A section of the curtains parted, and something slid into the room. The first thing that came to my mind was the memory of gummy bears, although I never saw a lavender one, or as tall as a human child. Also, I wouldn't exactly call this a bear shape. In design, it looked more like a light purple gel Mr. Peanut, especially with a bow tie. "Madam," the voice came muffled, as if spoken from within the creature, "I apologize. I attend to one pesky duty, and you must wake alone." He stayed where he was, but wiggled a little, making me wonder if it meant something. Battling myself concerning what to ask first, I managed to combine two questions into who, what, bringing eloquence into the new age. There was a little jiggling as I heard, "I am Winter's Goop, owner of the distinguished gift shop of the mysterious planet. You slept a long time. Perhaps you came from here." "What about Earth?" I asked. "Who's Earth?" came the dreadful answer. Just like that it happened, a sense of caution washing over me. So this is how it would be, feelings as words. Speaking of words, I asked the thing, "You speak English?" "In my business, it is vital that I speak many languages. This is a very upscale commerce I am running, only the best of the remains." Ignoring the last part, I told him, "Like this crib, one human included." "Oh, you misunderstand me. I purchased the cribs, not the lives inside." He was very persuasive. "This is not a slave operation. I have every intention of letting you proceed on your way, even helping you if you let me." He had successfully caught my attention. "Did you say cribs?" Yes, he told me. "I sold one about a year ago. Got twice what I originally estimated. It's fortunate I had you in storage." "How was that?" I asked. Leading me through the curtains, he took me through the tunnels and the caves. It was like being in a catalog room for a museum that never ended. Objects, many damaged, were lying about. Large, huge, small, medium, tiny, each sporting a glowing sticker of various colors. "What do the stickers mean?" I asked, as we constantly moved upwards. "State of decay," was the answer. Stopping, he touched an object and asked if I knew what it was. Looking at it brought a smile to my face. Petrified, the name faded. The general appearance was very familiar. "It's a bag of gummy bears." They were candy. Fascinating, he said. I was sure they were abortions. It sure would be an asset having you on staff. Shall we proceed? Yes, please, let's move on, I told him. The items were in better shape the higher we went. There was an impressive collection of Tupperware, of all things, piles of guns and larger munitions, and in one cave there were hundreds of boxes of various sizes and styles, all marked time capsule. Maneuvering past crates which oddly held thousands of earrings, we came into a mostly empty cavern. My guide had gone to the right, so I turned to see an entire wall of the cave open, an opening into space. Winters showed me the ships as they came and went. They were metal, they were glass, they were things I couldn't even understand. Some came for mining, some for discovery, a few for knowledge, and many to shop. Behemoth structures floated nearby, way stations for the industrials. There were also laboratories and a platform for dignitaries. Out there, he directed, towards the supernova, just past the lab's biodome. Hung up on the beauty of the supernova, it took me a moment to register his words. Unsure what the lab looked like, the biodome was unmistakable. At first I didn't see anything until I saw the black circle move. The shadowed end of a spaceship, which, when the ship rotated, it caught the light from the dome, revealing some kind of capsule. Except when I factored in the distance, saw that it was a much larger cylinder. That is the ship of those who bought the other crib, Winters told me. Not long after the purchase, there was a disturbance aboard. For various reasons, I monitor all my sails until they're out of range. What I surmise being an escape ship left the area, and there has been nothing from the main ship since. Okay, I started. That was certainly informative. Good, because this is why I woke you, he told me, getting my attention. In what possible way, was the first thought spoken. Jovially, it almost looked like he was smiling as he said, when they left, they did not take the crib. It's still in the ship, and I want you to retrieve it for me. The explanation of why was easy enough. Money. The how took some more explanations that stretched my imagination. When it came to why me, it was revealed that the purchasers of the crib had been the ghosts of a robot army. With the ship damaged, it was unclear if anyone survived whatever had happened, but if they did, then with the protection of the Guardian, I was the best chance at succeeding. Naturally, there will be a retrieval fee, he enticed, enough to see you begin your new journey. So here I stood in nervous anticipation, and at the precipice of the cavern. There was a conflict with my mind and gut. While everything was telling me to distrust Winter's goop, everything happened to also be telling me that getting the crib was essential. Are we so sure about how well the Guardian can protect me? I turned back to see Winters, who I could hear chuckling. Bending in the middle, the top half of his peanut body pressed a panel embedded in the rock and ordered, "Guard, come in here." Puzzled, I let it play out. And when the guard had finally entered, he looked like the liquid Terminator guy in a wheelchair. Winters told him, "Kill her." Raising an empty cylinder about the size of a tennis ball can, the security robot approached me. The edge of the opening began to glow pink, and it was aimed my way. Instantly, the cave was gone, and I was in a great expanse of a familiar milky cloud, and then I saw the glittery effects. With the cave having returned, I blinked and looked at the incapacitated robot on the ground. That was my guardian, I marveled. So now I wait, having decided, waiting for something that would give my guardian something different to work with. In my hands was one of those ghost detectors, possibly from television. Winters Goop said he had made some adjustments, and it now worked. "Ready?" asked Winters, about to flop on the panel. And without waiting for a reply, he did flop, and a deluge of water rained down upon me, thoroughly drenching me, and continuing to drench me. And just when I thought I was about to gasp for air, it finally stopped. Instructed to step out now, I fearfully stepped into space. Every drop of water became unabsorbed, ballooning out into a bubble, which I stood within above nothing. Feeling water in my hands, I saw the ghost detector was still wet and wouldn't turn on. Lost the machine, I called out to the sticker on my cheek, which I suppose was a modern-day Bluetooth. You'll have to carry it with you, was Winter's adamant reply. Well, why do I have to do that? I complained. If you let it go, it'll break the bubble, and I don't have any more water, he explained. That was the only water you had, I doubted. It's all I've ever had, he told me. It was the last water to salvage. Feeling as if years of fighting for the environment were just flushed down a very dry toilet, it would have to have a pin in it for now. Everything I knew and didn't know was gone, meaning that everything was new and I needed to pay attention at all times. Reality is to surreal as surreal is to... Try as I might, there just wasn't a word I knew. Jocelyn Holloway, doctor, college professor, born 1951, walking through space in a bubble in the year a million plus at least. The sensation was like walking on a waterbed, and the bubble didn't always stay perfectly round, which frightened me initially. A pale opalescence on the surface was the only way I knew that the bubble was even there. It took some getting used to, like learning to act as if I were walking up an incline even if one wasn't there. Looking back, it seemed I'd gone about halfway. The opening where I started was in the side of an asteroid split horizontally in half. That wasn't very interesting to me, though, because behind the gift shop were what I assumed to be the remaining pieces of a planet, if not Earth. Wondering what type of collision may have happened, Winter's Goop urged me to continue. Passing underneath the biodome, it seemed impossible that I was already at this point. As the ship grew closer, it surprised me how I had underestimated the size. Having the schematics, Mr. Goop was able to guide me at least. There was an opening on the underside that looked as if something had fought its way out, like John Hurt's chest in Alien. This empty interior center was walled off, but a hole had been bent through one side. I walked up and through the opening. Swapping hands to hold the ghost detector, I was thankful it had at least dried. My first reaction was disappointment. The ship was just a large metal cylinder, except some chambers I was slowly approaching. Unsure where the light was coming from, I was also thankful for this. Some music echoed briefly from somewhere, or was that my imagination? Rolling through the air, I entered a room with the largest windows I'd seen yet. They gave a full view of the mysterious planet and the various temporary residents. It hurt too much to consider where I was, so I turned away, but not before the remains of the moon appeared. There was no mistaking the sea of tranquility. Tears made me release them, until I heard the echoes of music again, but closer. Wondering to myself, really, I asked aloud anyway, why would robots listen to music? What was that? Winter's Goop asked immediately. What music? Just something on a keyboard, light and sweet, I assured him. Don't panic, he said calmly. You're right. They don't listen to music. What you hear is them speaking, and if I'm not mistaken, this one is injured. Doubting him, I said, it doesn't sound injured. That's not how they normally sound, said Goop. You're almost there, remember. I know, I interrupted. I have the Guardian protecting me. The bubble rose up and over what I assumed to be an invisible dead robot. Beyond that was an opening to the first room I had seen with any type of equipment or controls. The panels had openings only, which made sense, robots plugging in and all. On a metal pedestal was the crib. Going around the head where the controls were, I saw the glowing screen. There were two selections. Off. Restore. My gut was telling me to wait then. Glancing around the room gave the same empty results. Looking back at the screen, it had changed. There was now only one selection. Bluff. Are you sure I can touch it? I asked. Yes, the bubble is part of you. It'll come off no more than your own skin when touching something. Winter's Goop was controlling his anxiety, I could tell. The sound of a beep startled me. I looked around, as you would for something invisible. The next beep revealed to me its source. Having dried, the ghost detector was now working and detecting. On the screen there was a pulse from the center. As it moved outwards, it beeped as a green dot appeared. It was moving around, probably through the halls, so I remained facing the door. There was the sweetest little song, like birds, and the beep revealed the source in the doorway. This is probably a good time to say that there is actually a survivor aboard. In fact, right now would be a good time for my guardian to appear. And appear it did. Outside the bubble was only the phosphorescent liquid from the potato flecks sparkling like colored jewels, with just enough time to register it, though. Then there was nothing. Taking a thick round disc of mesh from my pocket, I pressed it and the bubble up against the side of the crib, peeling half the thickness of the disc off. Sparks like tiny lightning passed between the two. They stretched with me, but grew dimmer the further I went. The bubble popped off the crib, leaving the disc behind. I went to the screen and pressed bluff. When the screen had gone black, and I put my half of the disc in my pocket and began the return journey. Stepping into the cave's opening, the bubble collapsed back over me, washing me dry again as it fell away. Winter's Goop was already there, jiggling with delight. There was even the faint sound of bubbles popping, which I dared to imagine was him clapping. "Activate the disc," he instructed excitedly, adding, "If you please, madam." Removing the mesh disc from my pocket, I was led by instinct to press the flat surface with my thumb. The wiry bolts of lightning grew bright as they left the disc, fading again as they traveled out through the opening. Wonderful. An offer's already been made on the crib, and the buyer is on his way. Winter's Goop took the disc from me and set it on a shelf with others. I joined him, curious about the various gadgets. Unfortunately, it will take him a few days to arrive, but that could be a perfect opportunity for you to earn some value. Say what you will, jewels have longevity. Turning to him, I rested on my elbow on the shelf. "I want to ask if you are offering me a job, but it feels like I need to ask how these 3 days are influencing my life." Getting the once-over from a lavender gel, Mr. Peanut, he kind of scrunched in half, proclaiming, "Ho ho!" A stump of an arm stretched away from his body and plucked the communication disc from my ankle. It must have fallen off on the return journey. So let me explain. I made some unbindable insinuations that I might help you start your new journey. Sliding over a couple of feet, his body darted out 2 lines the size of a snail's antenna. They entered the smooth openings of 2 of many holes in the rock. They were very eager to barter for the crib, and I guess the greatest thing of value they had was their spacecraft. On a flatter surface of rock in front of them, it glowed like the ceiling in my first room. A spaceship faded into view. They sent all the details. It's a very well-equipped and in excellent condition mode of transport. Removing his fingers, the image and glow dissolved away. The sight of the ship had kicked in an instinct that made me eager for their arrival. Still confused, I asked, "How do I fit in?" "I intend to give you the ship," he proclaimed as he possibly stood forward on tiptoe. "It's well equipped for non-pilots, and with what you earn over the next few days, you should be able to locate some assistance, if not a nice new home." It was an odd sensation having 2 instincts speaking to me. While I didn't trust him any more than I had, I reasoned that covertly evil people often did random acts of kindness to fool the world or themselves. These acts typically had limits, though. "So," I began, as I moved towards the crib as it floated into the cave, "you're giving them the crib for free, pretty much." Winter's Goop guided the crib to the floor with 2 blobby arms. A jelly antenna reached out and removed the mesh disc. "Oh, no. I'm not going to give them the crib. I'm keeping both, no matter what I say. I'm just taking their ship and giving it to you." Eyeing him, wondering where he was looking, I moved to the head of the crib again. "What are they going to do?" I asked. "They will probably just become part of the gift shop," he jiggled with excitement. "You haven't seen it yet. You must see where you will spend much of the next 3 days." Already stretching another single tentacle out, he found his way to a panel by the door, inserting the blunt tip into the single hole. Another screen glowed to life, and another of the blobby aliens, red this time, appeared. If pressed, I would admit that this new one was less peanut-shaped and more hourglass-ish. It took me a moment to get that nobody was speaking. Studying the two, it was obvious they were communicating as they were taking turns wobbling. Having to lean against the crib, I thought I had been about to pass out from the ridiculously impossible information I was having to process. Unexpectedly, I cried hard for about 10 seconds, trying to cry out the names of the forgotten people I was crying to. "Excuse me, what happened?" he asked, concerned. "Culture shock," I said simply. Growing cheerier, Winters said, "Oh, that's all right then. Gift shop security is sending up your guards for the next few days. Say what you will about detached limbs this or frequent deaths that, my security is top-notch." "Then why do I need special security?" I countered. "Because you aren't one of my employees." Starting to slide towards the doorway, he stopped and turned his upper half. "Security will be here soon. They are fully briefed on your situation and what I need for you to do. Unfortunately, duty calls. The mining team have found what they described as an underwater space tube." He resumed sliding away. "Submarine," I called out. "That's its name." Never sure if he looked my way, I listened to the muffled voice. "You really would be most useful. For some reason, though, I just can't find it in me to hire you." With that, he really did go. There was a familiar sound suddenly approaching from the tunnels. I kept coming close to getting it, but only when I listened with closed eyes could I visualize the source of the sound. It was wheels of a wheelchair rolling along a stone floor. There were two, made evident when the sound of one crashing echoed along the tunnel. The other wheels continued their approach as I heard a woman's voice. "You just go on and get started. I'll be fine. It isn't worth the delay." This was followed by the sounds of metal striking stone. Around the corner wheeled the wheels of a wheelchair, those kind that tilt in at the top, but there was no chair. The wheels were mounted on opposite sides of a glass ball filled with a liquid made of what I could only come close to describing as mercury, but not quite silver. Rising from the top of the ball, a constant flow of metallic liquid funneled up and became a solid torso with arms and a head. The arms extended to paddles, which rippled at the tips, and the head was more spherical, without any human facial features. While solid, it was obvious to me which part of the head was the front. There was an outline of the sort you might get if you asked a 5-year-old to draw a circle. Within this shape, the mercury was a moving liquid. The face became wavy, and another woman's voice asked, "You are the human one? English?" The body bent fluidly towards me, and it or she asked, "Did I pronounce that right?" A pause, and then, "Are any of these words? Am I doing it wrong?" Head turning completely around, she called out louder, "This isn't working. She's just standing here. You must have gotten it wrong." Snapping out of my state of wonder, I reached my hands out and then quickly drew them back, saying, No, you're speaking English. Quite well, as a matter of fact." Head turning back, metal shoulders fluidly relaxing, the voice was pleased. What a relief. We'd been preparing all day. Let me first introduce myself. GR-13, Keeper of the Bell Jar, 1st in the 13th Battalion to obtain the command programming. The ripples became as faint as the voice, "And I can crochet a mean cocktail." "I'm Jocelyn," I said, keeping it simple. "Pardon me if this is rude, but are you aliens?" Then after a moment's thought I added, "I mean, not human, not from Earth." GRR said, "It would not have offended me if you had asked what I was. The mystery is a compliment. Earth is not a name I know, but humans I am forced to deal with in my line of work. No offense. Rather, it is a pleasure to be in the company of a human still refined. I see we are as foreign to you as you are to us. This is currently the 4th most popular form for a robot." It wasn't until the other robot came around the corner that I registered the sound of the wheels. This one was the same, apart from the mercury being canary yellow. Being pulled behind was a little wagon, except there were no wheels. It floated, tethered by a chain that kept at the same distance at all times, about 8 inches behind the wheels. Stopping short, its rippled face apprised me. "Wow, They used to be fancy. Has it spoken yet? I have the tool to assimilate language. There's going to be some disappointment about what the words were cut off by GRR. She can understand you. I made a mistake. To me, the robot said, this is B. No. She's my muscle. Best at producing on-the-spot weapons. Just assembles them out of whatever all that is in her wagon. It's quite amazing, really. B. No had been flapping her hand flippers at me. I'm so sorry. Don't listen to anything I say. I'm fully lubricated. You see, we had been getting ready all day. She was cut off. I already told her that, GR13 told the other robot. Fine, said B. No. You're better at this anyway. Wake me up when I catch up. Her body turned and began rummaging through the contents of the wagon. Did you see my oil can? Did you use it? I told you I only brought 7. Oh, here it is. Body turning forward, her left flipper held what could be very well an excavated oil can from my own childhood. It rose and made a bloop sound when it pierced Bino's neck. Pumping it a couple of times, Bino uttered softly, Yeah, there you are, my sweet babies. Ignore her, instructed GRR. She's mostly useless until she's needed, and then she's brilliant. So I guess you're my guards for the gift shop, I sort of didn't ask. Yes, answered GRR. I don't like that part. Our ultimate goal is delivering you to the ones you will be working with. I like to think about that part. You see, I'm not much of a question and answer robot. All those details and the order they happened or who was involved. Hey, where'd that man's leg go? Or why'd my lunch just give birth? I'm a thinking robot. Don't get me wrong, I'm delighted to meet you. Don't let the gift shop overwhelm you. We'll be there with you the entire time, answering any questions you may have. I love helping others learn new things. Placing my hands on my hips, I said, You know you just completely contradicted yourself, don't you? The robot was still for a moment, then placed her hands on her middle. Now I don't know which way I think. We should get going. We need to take this crib to the other one, and then fun. Turning to me, she went on, Well, actually, for you, it will probably not be so much fun as... She paused for a moment. What's the word? Disdain, called out Bino. No, barked GRR. Disgust, Bino giggled. Cheerfully, GRR said, Yes, that's it. Disgust. To be continued. Next time, on the conclusion of Slumberguard 2, Gift Shop. Looking around at basic nothing, I asked, You manufacture weapons here? Everyone heartily agreed. Sorry, but you manufacture and distribute weapons from here. Everyone continued nodding as if what I said was normal, except for General 1182, who wafted my way. I think we have a culture gap, my friends. He looked at me, cocked his head, asking, How many weapons do you want? It was unexpected, and I wasn't sure how to process the meaning of it. Let me put it this way. He floated around the tiny space in a tinier circle. You have to get from here to the door where you entered the cavern, where you would be safe. Say you can take 3 of us even. Everyone out there has a weapon, and they are untethered by the restraints. How many weapons would you want for the 4 of you where you would feel confident attempting it? My mind was a whirl of information being thrown around and pieced together. His context was of great help as I tried to factor what we could carry. It was insane. I couldn't believe it was happening. 16 large guns of some sort, 16 handheld weapons, and I don't know, 3 or 4 each of some style of grenade. The general turned his back to me, but there I saw GRR-13, who was pointing behind her. Stepping to the side, I saw Bino sitting next to a pile of weapons that I decided I didn't need to count. Wow, I guess I didn't understand yet. Looking at GRR, I asked, Have you ever been a part of a robot uprising? It could have been my imagination, but I swear the interior of the trailer pulled inward as the others took a sharp breath. GRR was thinking, faces calm as a pond. Then a ripple appeared. "Robot what?" she asked. The other's eyes were pleading, imploring even, and my instincts were telling me nothing. Robot uprising, like in Terminator and various sci-fi. Everyone turned their attention from me to GRR. Interesting. I do not think I've ever thought of those two words together before. You could have heard a pin drop as she thought. What's one robot going to do? You know what I'm saying? Everyone gleefully agreed, congratulating her for arriving at such a logical conclusion. Trying to extract my involvement in that matter, I asked, "Who do you sell the weapons to?" Grateful for the distraction, everyone focused back on me. It was the VW who answered, slamming his fist down on the table with a delicious thud. "Goop, the sour-assed scoundrel. He thinks he can hold back the resistance." Thinking about the logic of this situation, I realized there was none, since Goop was actually commissioning the weapons as well as trying to suppress them. What is it you, or oddly, Goop, need me to do?" And I finally got around to asking. The general opened his mouth, but I heard GRR say, "You know what? I processed it and concluded that I am not just one robot, am I?" Everyone had completely frozen except the VW, who shook. Bino asked in a frightened voice, "You're not one robot? How many are you?" And then with excitement she asked, "Is one of you that robot in my head telling me what everything is?" After a glance from GRR, she became more assertive. "Oh, yes. You're definitely more than one robot." Then a pinging noise began from her cart. "And we are most definitely more than just two."